When we started homeschooling, I was excited. I expected that each year would look different. One of the things I did not see happening was needing the flexibility of homeschooling as much as we have. I had no idea how much we would grow and change and how much homeschooling would bring our family together. The week before we had Alana, we had been doing co-ops and getting together with our homeschool friends, and it was a great time. We were really excited. And so we dropped our kids off with their grandparents so that we could go and have this baby that we were so excited about. And she was born, and we immediately saw that something was not right. They rushed her out of there so quickly. They had to transfer her to another hospital. We didn't know why. And we ended up spending the next 45 days in a children's hospital in a NICU. So homeschooling did look very different during that time. It was very basic.
We look back at the pictures sometimes, and there's oftentimes they'll be in the backgrounds just sitting kind of at the window, reading their books or, doing their work or whatever in the room.
It was just to keep life feeling a little bit more normal for them.
We couldn't send the kids back to our house because we didn't know how long we'd be in the NICU. My mom and dad just kind of opened it up and said, you could stay here for a little while if you need to. And we really did kind of need to. They were such a help and such a blessing. I don't know that we could have done it without them. And we just kind of never went home.
God has been so good in that he has brought healing through doctors, through therapists, through so many means, some unexplainable, like he just made things work. She came home with so many contraptions, with feeding tubes, with an ostomy bag, with all of these therapy appointments, and now she has no feeding tube, she has no ostomy bag. Everything is kind of put back in order, and you would never look at her and think that she had been through so much. We had been praying. We knew seasons were changing. We weren't having as many medical appointments, and we knew things were changing. My husband was just wrapping up his school year, teaching at the private school he was working at.
I remember, getting my room in order, locking the door, and then I don't remember anything after that until I woke up after surgery.
They found a tumor, and he had emergency brain surgery. And so the transition that we were anticipating looked very different at that moment.
They weren't really sure exactly what kind of function I'd have left over, and we kind of had to play that out over the next 6 months or so. Just the process of going through that, it's a slow process, and it kind of wreaks havoc on your body.
We're still figuring out what life looks like. Donnie just had a second surgery, came home from the hospital, and that day we found out that none of the medications that were prescribed would be covered by insurance. And then the very next day, we found out that one of the specialists that he needs to see for the rest of his life and had been seeing was no longer covered by insurance, just all of a sudden. And my husband was still healing from surgery. And though I have the support, I felt very alone. All the doubts that you have just kind of resurface. And the day after we found out that his specialist was no longer covered, we got the email from HSLDA that said that our grant had been approved. And I didn't feel alone. I didn't doubt. I can't look at my kids' school supplies that I've purchased with them without remembering that and remembering God's faithfulness.
Instead of his provision being, 2 legs to go to work and 2 hands to do it with, his provision has been, even though I can't do that, he's provided food, he's provided a place to stay. Out of the goodness of his kingdom and the people that are in it, he's just provided everything that we needed. shiny pieces. Do you remember what those might be called from when we were looking at rocks and minerals?
One of the things I appreciate most about homeschooling is being able to know my children. Being able to see those relationships and be part of helping those relationships grow and form has been such a unique blessing.
I was homeschooled growing up, and I just felt like that was a real benefit. And so we'd like to give that same benefit to our kids as well.
It just blesses me so much to see my children being able to learn some of the things that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to teach them well, because we now have the resources to do that.